From the studios of the Republic Media Network, you're watching Arnab Goswami live on The Debate.
Good evening and welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, the buzz tonight, the big buzz tonight, is about the first ever expansion of the Modi cabinet, the Modi Council of Ministers. 18 to 20 ministers to be sworn in, a big focus on the election-bound states. Now, as this methodical cabinet ministry expansion takes place, I think it's time to reflect on the timing of this expansion and the bigger story which we must not forget to read as this first ever expansion takes place. The expansion itself can be considered routine, but since it incidentally happens at a time when the lead player in the Lutyens lobby, the Vadra Congress, is breaking apart in 5 states simultaneously tonight, and when the lobby itself is distraught, terribly worried and angry at the national recovery after the second wave of COVID, and because of these reasons that lobby is presently jobless or rather unemployable, it gives us all a different room for thought. And that's what I wanted to share with you tonight. And that is this. Consider this, viewers, consider this. That the strongest attribute of the Prime Minister and this government is its ability to carry on regardless of all forms of negativity. This lobby made some impressionable people actually begin to believe that Narendra Modi was personally responsible for the Chinese virus, that he invented the Chinese virus and organize its spread. Now there is a massive national recovery, the lobby squad. This lobby and its cohorts in the media, using strategically placed and selected visuals of migrant workers, created a campaign that the Indian economy is over, that we are all finished, that the economy has collapsed. Now the economy has swung back, like we predicted here at Republic, and we are placed on the highest of the global table. The lobby is silent about it. Consider this also. This lobby said that we will lose Kashmir if we abrogate or remove 370. Now, not only is 370 gone, ladies and gentlemen, but we are on the eve of a historic election in Jammu and Kashmir. With even the anti-nationals falling in line, the lobby will not say one word about it. The point being, and the larger point I'm making tonight is this, that somewhere, even those among you watching me tonight, who are the most hardened critics of the Prime Minister, will acknowledge that his ability to carry on regardless of the vilest, most personal, and as the recent fake news episodes have shown, false charges, to focus on the medium, the long term, and in national interest, make him far less vulnerable than the lobby would want him to be to their attacks. Which is why, while others will focus on things like caste representation, regional representation, and the cabinet expansion, which is important, I would rather look tonight at the bigger picture, at what the expansion and the timing of the expansion tells us about Prime Minister Modi, his sense of timing, and his political strategy. I think that makes far more sense. What do you think, viewers? And that's debate number 1 tonight. The cabinet expansion has within it A hidden story. A hidden story. Big cabinet reshuffle happening. Modi, Team Modi. That's happening, I'm told, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Correction on that, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Team Modi holding true to its perform or perish DNA. That's debate number one tonight. Debate number two. Oh, they are muscle flexing, giving ultimatums and now playing victim. They think they've gotten away, but tonight Republic confronts the Chinese on the Chinese virus. And debate number three tonight. Punjab, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, the list goes on and on. The Vadra Congress is spraying from state to state. That's debate number three. And here are the headlines this Tuesday evening on the debate tonight. Big cabinet reshuffle on Wednesday. 6 p.m. we are told. All new Team Modi. Prime Minister makes it clear that performance and professionalism will be the only drivers to securing a berth in his new team. It's a big breakaway. Big breakaway from the UPA era cabinet reservation policy. The Prime Minister slated to take tough decisions. Massive churn is on the cards. As the world says enough already, it is the Chinese virus. Beijing now begins to play victim on COVID-19. From Punjab to Chhattisgarh, implosions, 3 states, one big question. Is it a Vadra Gandhi power struggle? And ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a big cabinet rejig. In less than 24 hours, we are told 6 p.m. tomorrow, a new cabinet takes birth. Team Modi is going to be a cabinet of doers. We are told it will be people focused on performance. The Prime Minister has personally been leading the performance appraisals. It's a KRA system of governance that's not been seen before. Some, we are told, will be shunted. Some shown the door, new faces and younger faces brought in. Here are the details we have, and then we debate the bigger story.
On Wednesday, a big cabinet reshuffle is on the cards. The Prime Minister has taken a performance appraisal. The doers will be rewarded. Lack of performance will be penalized and tough decisions are being taken. The top candidates for ministerial berths are being called to New Delhi.
There's going to be a new Team Modi tomorrow. We are given to understand that it's going to represent the unrepresented, bring in technocrats with a lot of education, going to have underprivileged from sub-regions within the states. The governor's list announced today did give us a peep into what's going to happen tomorrow.
The Modi cabinet is likely to have a nuanced mix of seniors with a proven record and administrative experience and promising young faces. From Jyotiraditya Scindia, who shifted parties, to Jamyang Sering Namgyal, who became the thundering voice of Ladakh in the parliament, are in the mix.
मानता हूं कि भारत का भविष्य पूर्ण रूप से उनके हाथों में सुरक्षित।
हमारा पॉलिटिकल एस्पिरेशन, हमारा पहचान, हमारा भाषा लुप्त अगर हुआ है तो ये आर्टिकल 370 और कांग्रेस पार्टी जिम्मेवार है।
A new Team Modi is going to be in place, and competence is the defining denominator to make it. It is a perform or perish formula. All states and regions have been carefully considered, and the all-new Modi cabinet will be a reality tomorrow. While the MPs and allies are not letting much on, the wait for 6 p.m. is on.
विशेष कुछ होगा तो जरूर बताएंगे, कुछ बात छुपा नहीं सकते, कुछ वक्त मुझे दो, मैं आपसे बात
में इसके संबंध में कोई खास बात नहीं है। जो भी माननीय आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी चाहेंगे उसी के हिसाब से जो भी होना होगा होगा।
Let's debate.
Satya Prakash Mishra, spokesperson of the JDU, Srijit Panikar, right-leaning political analyst, Sudhindra Bhadoria of the BSP, Dr. Ajay Kumar Pandey, Vice President, National Spokesperson of the LJP, Chirag Paswan faction, which has been left out, Unsurprisingly, Syed Aslam leans towards the JDS, Biswajit Dev, spokesperson of the TMC, and Vivek Srivastava, who just said last week that this government is collapsing. He said last week this government is collapsing. Abhishek Kapoor, of course, our senior executive editor, is on the debate as well. Abhishek, he said last week this government is collapsing. He said week before last, it's a matter of time. What happened, Vivek? You must be disappointed.
It's a failed government. It's a failed government. You know, it's a failed government trying to survive, trying to play politics, trying to fold its hands in front of all the allies, and somehow trying to do something so that its image is, you know, maintained.
He's so funny.
COVID, it was a big failure by this government. Economy, a big failure. Removal Article 370, Kashmir is still not normal. That is the basic broad level report card.
China is marking its 100 years
of commodities, petrol, diesel, cylinders. I mean, let's not talk about it. Then the agricultural bill, the farmers bill, which is again a black spot. So there is nothing in this government for which it should feel
Well,
proud,
then what's the problem if new talent is coming in the government?
We have a great prime minister. No. What talent? You are trying to survive.
Well, what's the problem then if new talent is coming into the government?
The prime minister's swearing-in ceremony, and now since it is a junior partner, it has agreed to compromise and wants 4 to 5, cabinet berths. Similarly, Jyotiraditya Scindia is an angry man today. You did not reward him. So if you don't reward him anymore, he's going to pull down your government in Madhya Pradesh. So it is the question of survival for Modi government. This is no great expansion, and this is not a very creative expansion. And I'm sorry to say our prime minister is not a very good team maker. We had in the past a minister HRD who was not very qualified. You have a finance minister. I do not know what her credentials are. You know, and many talented people like Subramaniam Swamy, they are sitting onto the sidelines. So, I mean, team making is one of the poor things that this prime minister does. You don't have experts. You know, whether it is industries or it is finance or it is textile or it is coal.
Opening the debate right now, I'm told the list will be coming out. 1 minute. I'm told no. I'm told the list will be coming out about 11 o'clock tomorrow. The cabinet swearing in is about 6 o'clock in the evening, which means we'll know the portfolios before, say, our 9 o'clock show tomorrow. Now, it's going to be a cabinet rejig like no other. And there's a lot of diversity being brought in, those over 70, less. In fact, one has already been made a governor. We are told that more professionals like Mr. Jaishankar, foreign minister, will be brought in. And we are told that the government is actually getting in more people with administrative experience from states. So the obituary you wrote is sounding unresearched. The Prime Minister is also bringing in new young faces. Jyotiraditya Scindia is actually not being rewarded. He's being given his due.
He's an angry man.
Stop your cynicism. Stop your cynicism. Gaurav Bhatia is on the debate.
So now you are folding your
Gaurav Bhatia is on the debate.
So,
Arnab, Jyotiraditya Scindia will make you a minister.
Thank you very much. Gaurav Bhatia is on the debate right now, 9:12 p.m. Gaurav.
Too late.
Gaurav, and after that, Syed Aslam. Gaurav first.
Arnab, today the opposition, the perpetual naysayers, can he be quiet, Arnab, please? Please ask him to be quiet.
We all know that BJP is a fertile ground for the turncoat. BJP is a fertile ground. BJP is a fertile ground for the turncoat politicians. BJP is a fertile ground for the turncoat politicians. This revamp is a balancing act. Whether it is Jyotiraditya Scindia, whether it is Narayan Rane, whether it is Rita Bahuguna, or whether it is Jitin Prasada, it is Dinesh Trivedi, all these turncoat politicians will because we all know
I take a bet on it.
Is a fertile ground for turncoat politicians.
I take a bet. Syed, my friend, I take a bet on it. I'll take a bet on it. I'll take a bet on it. 1 minute. I'll take a bet on it. I say tonight, Syed.
Yes.
You call them turncoats, opportunists, terrible, and all that. I'll take a bet on it that how many people will celebrate if Jyotiraditya Scindia becomes a cabinet minister tomorrow. How many people will celebrate if our Ladakh MP, Jamyang Namgyal, is given a place in Team Modi tomorrow? You want to take a bet on it? I'm telling you, viewers, you can use coup, #Team Modi. Tell me whether you will feel proud.
I will do.
Then if you do it, then don't be a hypocrite. You're personally going to be happy if competent, deserving people like them join the cabinet.
Arnab, if
but just for the sake of it, you'll be critical. Well. Okay, Gaurav Bhatia is responding.
If it had to be on performance, the agriculture minister has to be removed.
Arnab,
if it had to be on performance, the finance minister has to be removed.
May I please?
If it had to be on agriculture, Narendra Singh Tomar has to be removed. If it had to be on health, Harshvardhan had to be removed. It is not on performance. It's a balancing act. Giving opportunities to the turncoat politicians, it's an opportunist revamp. Let me be very, very clear. Gauravji, I want to ask you one very quick question. Gauravji,
Can I first make my opening comment? If I am giving you so much of respect, you should also be cordial to us.
Don't we need a revamp in the health ministry? Don't we need a revamp in the health ministry? It's a disaster in agriculture sector. Don't we need a revamp in the agriculture minister? It's a disaster in economy and finance. Don't we need a revamp in the finance ministry? Nirmala Sitharaman ji, with all due respect to her, she doesn't know anything about economy and finance. India is going through a disaster. Petrol is at 105 rupees. Diesel is at 96 and it's touching 100 rupees. LPG is touching 900 rupees.
This kind of ranting will not help. We can't have a meaningful debate.
You are celebrating for the revamp. The GDP is going minus. What are we celebrating about? Stop.
Which GDP is going minus?
Get to
Which
action.
GDP is going minus?
Today,
No, one minute.
It doesn't even
Which
GDP is going
one sec. Where is the GDP going minus? You know your facts before you speak, Do you think this is some Lutyens channel with a 4-letter name?
Of course, I know.
That you can say anything and get away with it? Now Gaurav Bhatia is responding, please. Gaurav Bhatia. Gaurav Bhatia is responding. My question is still on. How many people would celebrate if those like Namgyal and Scindia are sworn in tomorrow? Gaurav Bhatia responding. You are the first 5 minutes of the debate with the opposition. Gaurav, yes, please.
Thank you.
Gaurav and Sudhir Bhadauria after that. Yeah.
Arnab, every citizen of the country will vouch for one thing, that every decision that Narendra Modi ji takes is in the interest of the nation. That is primary for him. And let's understand, in the UPA era, it was populism that drove them. Right now, it's patriotism that drives Narendra Modi ji to take tough decisions. And let me just, summarize in 30 seconds my first point. NDA 2, Article 370, 70 years, nobody could abrogate it, though it was a temporary provision. Historic decision by Narendra Modi ji. COVID-19, they were discussing just now. Is it not true? 36 crore vaccines given. Highest in the world. Narendra Modi ji led from the front. Did not allow even COVID-19 pandemic to deter him from ensuring that every citizen is safe. Triple talaq made an offense. Nobody had that kind of will because they were busy with communal and appeasement politics. Ram Mandir, कहते थे, राम मंदिर की तारीख नहीं बताएंगे. तो आज हम कह रहे हैं कि राम मंदिर भी बन रहा है, तारीख भी बता रहे हैं और आपको बुला भी रहे हैं. And I think the most important point that we need to understand is that even with such a pessimistic and negative opposition, Narendra Modi ji has led from the front. Because Arnab, do you remember how compromised the office of the Prime Minister was? Even a cabinet rejig, reshuffle expansion would happen only when Manmohan Singh ji would rush to 10 Janpath, and the PMO was compromised because Sonia Gandhi was the one without accountability. She was exercising all the power. Do you even remember, Arnab? I'm sure you would, that even the appointments in the Prime Minister office could not have been made by the Prime Minister. He was so feeble, so dependent on the Gandhi Parivar. Today, Narendra Modi ji is the tallest leader in the world and in India, and he's acting independently to lead from the front and inspire the youth. The names that you have taken, or maybe other names as well. But he inspires us to deliver to the country. And last but not the least, you remember how weak the Prime Minister was earlier? That an ordinance that was cleared by the cabinet was torn by Rahul Gandhi when he was only a member of parliament. And these people come out to question, I would say, that it's a historic moment for us that when they were making fun of India, of our Prime Minister, Narendra Modi ji has shown what it takes to lead from the front. This is the strong message today.
No, I think I also remember. 1 minute, everyone's speaking at the same time. Can I have them on screen? 1 second. I also remember, and I'm sure you remember too, viewers.
Sonia Gandhi.
I also remember one more thing. 1 minute. I also remember that Hafiz Saeed. 1 minute. I also remember, Vivek, your audio down for a minute. Important point I'm making. I also remember Hafiz Saeed's, M.R. Venkatesh, Hafiz Saeed's favorite Indian journalist, whose name came out in the Radia tapes,
Yes.
was very busy being a middleman for another fixer, being a fixer for a fixer in trying to fix a ministerial berth in the UPA time. Don't gape at the tech camera like that. These are historical realities.
The corporate
So-
giants.
so-
even the potential
So-
ministers.
Conflict of interest.
But I want to ask Sudhindra Badoria.
Exports, you are failed.
But I want to ask Sudhindra Badoria.
You have nothing to show.
I want to ask Sudhindra Badoria right now, and Satya Prakash Mishra is also with us tonight. Sudhindra Badoria and Satya Prakash Mishra, the point that Gaurav Bhatia made is something that the opposition will have to think about. You see, Mr. Badoria, politics does not happen on Twitter. The opposition has unfortunately done most of its politics on the social media of late. And what the point Gaurav made is that while there has been an attempt to target the Modi government on various issues, in terms of delivery, he has delivered. See, he delivered on Kashmir, Mr. Badoria. Satya Prakash Mishra and Mr. Badoria, he delivered on Kashmir. You went after him, said that Kashmir will break away. It did not. There has been a turnaround on COVID.
If the question
There has been a.
Let me answer your question. And let me say this, that it is the
Okay.
prerogative of the Prime Minister to expand his cabinet. It is the prerogative of any Prime Minister to bring in any number of ministers within the purview of the Constitution and the Constitution.
It's not the reality. It's not any number of ministers. It was created.
Before the country.
Badoria, you don't have constitutional information. It's not any number of ministers.
He has failed as far as the Prime Minister is concerned. In the Corona crisis, he failed, as once told on your channel itself.
It's your figment of imagination, Mr. Badoria.
He declared that he has won over COVID, and the whole world knows how miserable the people of India were during the times of COVID. The dead bodies were floating in the rivers of this
when
country.
vaccination came out, Akhilesh Yadav issued a statement that the vaccination belongs to a political party. No one should take that vaccine. Such kind of pathetic politics you started, Mr. Badoria, and your party as well.
Similarly, the unemployed youth, the large number of unemployed youth which
Come on,
across
stop
the country
him.
today, we have over 10 crores of people unemployed, whereas Modi ji had promised that he will give 2 crores of youth every year employment, and today we see that the number of unemployment and unemployed youth has grown rapidly over these years when Modi ji has been in the prime ministership. So therefore, the challenge is different. You see, these kind of gymnastics.
But Mr. Badoria,
and Minister the people want, the nation wants to know. The nation wants to know from them.
Yes, the nation wants to know. The nation wants to know the truth.
Not the nation.
The nation wants to know the truth. The nation does not want fabrications, impersonations, and lies. The nation wants to know the truth. And the nation will know the truth. The nation will know the truth. And the truth is that The truth, Mr. Bhadoria. The truth, Mr. Bhadoria, and MR Venkatesh is on the debate. The truth, Mr. Bhadoria. Mr. Bhadoria, be patient and stop for a while, please, Mr. Bhadoria. I request you to stop for a minute. I request you to stop for a minute, Mr. Bhadoria. Mr. Bhadoria, please put the brakes on your speech.
Without shelter.
Mr. Bhadoria. Mr. Bhadoria. One second. Just a minute, Mr. Bhadoria. Just a minute. Now hear the counter. I invite on the debate Biswajit Dev and MR Venkatesh on the debate. But as I invite them, let me tell you the truth. And my point is this. You went after Modi, but he delivered. You went after him on Kashmir. You said Kashmir will break away. It didn't.
He has not delivered. He has delivered
It
nothing.
stayed. And today there are elections in Kashmir. You will not acknowledge the fact that on COVID, our recovery rate is 97%. Positivity rate is 2.11. It's one of the lowest ever in the second wave. Today, the situation in the United Kingdom is 10 times worse than it was at our peak, given the size of their population and ours. Are the British saying that Boris Johnson has invented COVID? No. But you did. The Trinamool Congress did. The Trinamool Congress said that the Chinese virus has been almost invented by Narendra Modi. There is a turnaround on vaccination. You are quiet today, Mr. Dev, because you have nothing to say. There's a turnaround on vaccinations. We are in the number one place in the world where administered... No, 1 second. What do you differ on? Even on the farmers' issues, Sharad Pawar is not with you. Even on the farmers' issue.
I differ on this point.
No. Which point? Which point do you differ on? My bigger point. My bigger point. One line and then I'm handing over to you. One line, I'm handing it over to you after that. One line, I'm handing it over to you after that. My point is, Mr. Dev, my question to you. Mr. Dev, my question to you, Mr. Dev. My question to you is,
so far as the virus
Mr. Dev, my question,
it was a
you're not hearing my question.
8-phase election in West Bengal. Mamata Banerjee had repeatedly Mamata Banerjee had mentioned that the election should be done in 1 phase or in 2 phases. Why the election was done in 8 phases. And that's the reason why there was a spread of COVID in West Bengal.
The gentleman must know that the election is held by the Election Commission of India, not by the central government. You must know this. It is not conducted by Modi or Amit Shah.
We know very well. We know very well.
And it is an
Please don't advise us. The election commission is being run. The election commission, I'm sorry to say, is being run by the Narendra Modi government. No. All constitutional offices have been usurped by this particular government. These constitutional offices is run under the instruction of this particular government. And the entire COVID, the government is a total failure. So far as the COVID is concerned, total failure. In Bengal, they depended on the turncoats. And today, another turncoat, Suvendu Adhikari, is a leader of the opposition.
What is the gentleman
they
talking
failed
about?
miserably in Bengal. And that's why it was a humiliating defeat. It was a humiliating defeat. It was a humiliating defeat in Bengal. In spite of the fact that both the Prime Minister and the Home Minister was repeatedly coming to Bengal.
Mr. Dev, no, watch it. Emma, just wait a minute. Emma, Mr. Dev, one minute. Mr. Dev,
even there is a cabinet reshuffle. What gain? What will be the gain of the people of India? What is the gain
Mr. Dev, I'll tell you. Mr. Dev, can I? Of course you'll come in, MR. Of course you'll come in. 1 minute, Mr. Dev.
What about the economy?
Mr. Dev.
What about the
Mr.
unemployment?
Mr. Dev.
Failure. The finance department has failed. The agriculture has failed.
There you go. Mr. Dev, one request, please. Just a minute, MR. I want us all tonight to just think of the one point I'm trying to make in the course of this debate. I began the show this evening by saying that it occurs to me that Narendra Modi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ability to carry on regardless is his biggest personal attribute. And we all may disagree with various things at points of time, which the Prime Minister does. I have done as well. We all may disagree on this or that issue, but the ability of a prime minister to show leadership by carrying on regardless is important. And that is something which occurs to me when the cabinet reshuffle is happening, that whether from health to economy to defense, Kashmir, delivery, there's a turnaround on COVID, there's a turnaround on vaccinations, there's a turnaround by the opposition on the farmers issue. Sharad Pawar has done a U-turn. He has said that you don't have to remove the farm laws, you can amend them. So the point being that there have been so many attempts to not just distract, but sometimes at the cost of national security, like it was during the farmers issue. When a desperate opposition supported, you talk about turncoats? What about those anti-nationals who went into Red Fort? Did you not applaud them, Mr. Dev? Did you not clap and support them? Did you not say well done to all those people who were shouting and screaming for Khalistan at the Red Fort? Point I'm making is, Mr. Dev, whether on such occasions or whether when the country should have been together, when the opposition, everyone, Mr. Bhadoria, I'd mentioned you as well, Mr. Bhadoria, you should all have been together and said the Chinese virus is a national threat. We should all be together. But no, you did not stand with the nation. You stood against it. You stood against the nation then.
This cabinet reshuffle, how will the people of India gain by this cabinet reshuffle? You tell me about the situation of agriculture. You tell me about the plight of the farmers. What about the plight of the farmers? You tell me about the economy. You tell the viewers about the fuel price. Why the government is unable to manage the fuel hike?
Today you have the authority of the Prime Minister. Even the potential people who are being invited to the cabinet do not know that they are being invited to the cabinet. That is the level of authority that Narendra Modi is building today. But now you come about and you are talking about performance of each of these ministers. Each of these ministers have been debated. Every single point has been debated in the Republic. And each of these times we have threadbare discussed. We have discussed about several things. Now you have to tell me what is the alternative and what is that you offer. Sir, Mr. Dev, at all times you are only like a whining old man in a family wedding. You guys don't come out with any alternatives, no solutions. In fact, I will lay this charge on you. When the COVID wave occurred, the second wave occurred, you guys were jubilation mood. You guys were in jubilation mood because the country was suffering. And here was a chance for you to attack. And you were playing, you were having a tacit arrangement with the Chinese. You were guys who were playing second fiddle to the Chinese. And you come and tell us that we will have to believe you. You mean to say we will believe you?
Union government was totally.
What are you trying to say?
I give you
the Prime Minister can stall and don't dare to attack the Prime Minister. What do you mean?
I'll give you a clear example.
Total failure so far.
One minute. I'd like to bring in at this stage Abhishek Kapoor. 1 minute. I'd like to bring in Abhishek Kapoor because some element of perspective is necessary right now. And that's what Republic excels in. We don't just tell the story, we put it in perspective. Here's the perspective I bring, and I'd ask Abhishek to expand on it, take the debate forward. I say, Abhishek, I'm far more content with a Prime Minister who takes decisions based upon performance appraisals while deciding who his ministers will be. Not embarrassments like Manmohan Singh. And I repeat, embarrassments like Manmohan Singh, who said almost pathetically in a press conference which I attended. 1 minute, allow me to complete. Don't stop me when I'm making a point. I'm making a point. Everyone saw it. I am repeating, I'd rather have Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, take tough decisions after doing performance appraisals. Please will you reduce his volume? After doing performance appraisals of his ministers, than embarrassments like Manmohan Singh, who said pathetically at a press conference, I had to bring in A. Raja because of compulsions of coalition politics.
No, Arnab.
He said, I make compromises. He said, I make compromises because I have to manage the coalition. You remember that, Abhishek? He said these are the compulsions of coalition politics when he was asked about the 2G scam. That's the only reply he could give. Only reply he could give. Now I ask the people of India what they would rather like.
Arnab, I just have a point to make which will take forward the point you made. With your permission, you know, you remember the infamous line he said, अगर सोनिया गांधी कहेंगी तो राहुल गांधी के लिए मैं कुर्सी छोड़ दूंगा जैसे खानदान की भपौती है. It is the Prime Minister's chair. It actually shows the will of 135 crore Indians. छोड़ दूंगा क्या होता है? And in one line, you talked about leadership. What is leadership? Let me tell you. We all know Mumbai blast happened. Fali Homi Major, former Air Chief Marshal, went to Manmohan Singh ji. We can teach Pakistan a lesson. Should I, Prime Minister? He said, रुको, मैं सोनिया गांधी जी से पूछ के आता हूँ. Then happened Pulwama, and our Air Force Chief went to Narendra Modi ji. हम पाकिस्तान को सबक सिखाना चाहते हैं, सर. नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने बोला, ठोक दो. Balakot air strike happened. This is the difference between a true leader and somebody who has been given the chair of the Prime Minister and cannot act with authority. And second, I am also telling you, वो एक गाना है, कहते हैं ना 4 बज गए, पार्टी अभी बाकी है, तो कांग्रेस के लिए है 4 ही लोग बच गए, 4 लोग गांधी परिवार के, पार्टी अभी बाकी है. और बीजेपी के लिए कह रहे हैं 300 हो गए, 300 हो गए. ये तो अभी झांकी है, ये फर्क है. अभी बढ़ेगी. The youth are getting inspired because they know through hard work, perseverance, honesty, we can one day become the Prime Minister of the country. वो गांधी परिवार में नहीं हो सकता है, वो केवल एनडीए और बीजेपी में हो सकता है.
No. You mentioned, and I wanted to go to Abhishek. You know, people mention what is the difference
due to the unemployment. Due to unemployment.
Well, let me tell you.
You know where highest unemployment is? Sir, do you know? Rajasthan, 27%. You are not even aware.
There is no employment.
You don't even know the facts.
The youth
Which
are not
country
getting
has
employment.
administered the maximum number of vaccines?
The youth are frustrated.
India, 36 crores.
The Indian youths are
Which
frustrated.
country has developed
they don't have any employment.
indigenous vaccines?
There's an acute
India.
employment problem.
But
I'd say
will only
okay.
Employment.
Okay, on the debate, I want to bring in Srijit Panikar also right now. Abhishek.
Prime Minister.
All right.
I have to make a limited point. If you allow, I have to make a limited point. You mentioned that Prime Minister Modi has carried out this exercise, or is carrying out this exercise amid the pandemic, amid China, amid economy. You know, I have to tell you something. The meticulous manner in which he has carried out this exercise over the last fortnight, the minutiae he has gone into, I can tell you that one minister, I won't name him, got himself admitted into a hospital on the day that he was supposed to make a presentation about his ministry. I mean, that kind of detail Prime Minister has gone into, that the ministers were a little scared whether they are fully prepared or not. And that really adds value to governance. Someone was asking a vacuous question as to what this exercise is going to do. If the average age of the Union Council of Ministers comes down, if it's more youthful, if it is more educated, if it is more broad-based, if the governance experience of the Council of Ministers is more, because from the stage those people who are being taken tomorrow have already had some experience of political executive. It adds to the overall experience of governance and hence improves the last mile delivery. So I think, one, the manner in which this entire exercise is panned out, Arnab, can put HR departments of top corporates to shame in terms of its detail, in terms of its broad basing. And
we'll know the details
The
tomorrow.
kind of talent that is going to come in terms of representing and the overall improvement in the age profile and the education. I think it's going to do
Mr. Aslam.
Going ahead for the country,
Mr. Aslam,
and for everyone.
Mr. Aslam,
nothing else.
Mr. Aslam, Mr. Aslam, can I say something to you? I would request you, your party, your cohorts, and other like-minded people like you to focus more on the important job of getting at least one MP seat, so that in the future you can come somewhere close to forming a government, maybe 50 years from now, and then you can raise your voice in Parliament and have your own cabinet. But till then, you'll have to be patient. Now, I want to bring in one more point to Srijit Panikkar, and this point was Sudhindra Badoria and Srijit Panikkar are on the debate. I'd like to just say one thing. I was talking about accountability. I was talking about accountability sometime back. I was talking about accountability, and I want to bring in Srijit Panikkar, and then I want to bring in Biswajit Deb once again, and Vivek. You see, when Sushil Kumar Shinde, what a terrible record he had as Home Minister. What a terrible record. Embarrassing. And there were others who continued after Home Minister. There were other Home Ministers who went to Bollywood music launches after the Patna serial blasts. I mean, there are people like Veerappa Moily, who was retained till the end of his tenure despite multiple allegations of malpractices and misuse of office against him. A. Raja was reinducted due to coalition compulsions. This is the way cabinets were formed in the past. All I'm saying is that if what Abhishek is seeing does happen tomorrow, then it's a tremendously refreshing change of running the government. Do we forget that Ashwini Kumar refused to resign? Despite allegations? Do we forget what happened after the 2G scam? People just continued regardless. So it is a question of seeking accountability from elected representatives, which did not happen in the past. It's a different way of running a government. Srijit Panikkar and Biswajit Deb. Srijit.
Yeah, absolutely, Arnab. And this is probably the way a country has to run. This is how corporates run. For everything, people are actually alleging that Modi is actually working for his corporate friends like Ambani and Adani. This is something which is a good quality that he has probably inherited from Indian corporates and he has implemented in his own cabinet. Now, the performance appraisal system, the performance review, and your rewards being based on your performance in the last 2 years is something extraordinary, and this is something which is unprecedented. And you could say, multiple types of narratives have been coming out from the media houses, like the consideration for UP elections and the elections that are happening in 4 other states in the next year is one of the considerations for this reshuffle. But all that aside, I am basically seeing this as a political strategy, the political strategy to address the current politics as well as something that shapes the future. When we talk about something that is long due for Jyotiraditya Scindia, something that is probably due for Sarbananda Sonowal, something that is due for someone like Pashupati Paras, this is something which they have to do because these people have proved to be loyalists to the BJP, and therefore it is rightfully their demand that they get the reward for this thing. So that is probably one thing which addresses the current politics. Now, the second thing is about mixing a lot of people into their bag and also making that alliance very strong in respect of the 2024 election, which is a bigger picture. And that is where you probably would wait to see whether the YSR Congress gets a representation here. The JDU, which hitherto did not have a place, will get a couple of ministerial beds, whether it is one minister of state or one union cabinet role. That is where you do that. So this is something which is for the future, and the government is probably planning its 2024 election preparations as well along with it. And then comes a third angle, which I would see is that conventionally we talk about giving representations to smaller communities, giving representations to OBCs and all that. And I heard some reports that at least more than a dozen of OBC people will get representation. Representation for smaller communities will also be there. And the average age, despite all these changes, the average age of the ministry will come down and the average educational qualification will go up. These are all things which are very positive changes. And one thing that I can assure you is that whether you like him or not, he is a doer. Narendra Modi is someone who is a doer. We know that, he established a couple of things which were long pending. For example, CAA. CAA is something which has been in different forms.
No, one minute. Before Srijit, let me hold you back there. Because once again, by way of comparisons and contrast, Biswajit Deb coming to you. Biswajit Deb coming to you. Mr. Deb coming to you. Mr. Deb coming to you. One point, Mr. Deb. When we are talking about cabinets today, I would remember that in 2011, the then Foreign Minister S.M. Krishna read out 2 paragraphs of the speech of the Portuguese Foreign Minister at the UN Security Council. Now compare that to the way in which Jaishankar openly challenges China at the global forum. No. Whatever error, it's a question of competence. It's a question of competence, and also Biswajit Deb and Gaurav Bhatia. Biswajit Deb. Okay, Biswajit Deb. Thank you, Biswajit Deb and Gaurav Bhatia. Thank you.
Now the Honorable Prime Minister. Now the Honorable Prime Minister is not running a corporate sector. He is running a government. He is leading the country. Now we do expect, the people do expect some developments. People do expect some results after 7 years. What the people of India, what the people of India has till date received from this particular government? What development work has been done by this particular government? How much employment has been done by this government? What about the agriculture sector? What about the financial sector? What about the economy? What about the health sector? Everything, each and every sector has been finished. Only Ram Mandir. Now people will not be able to feed themselves with Ram Mandir issue only. People need employment. People need employment. People need work. People need business. People need employment. What about the commitment of the Honorable Prime Minister that he will give 2 crores employment per year? What about that commitment?
I am answering you if you listen to me, sir. Can you listen also? Or are you only outgoing? No incoming?
Yes,
outgoing, no incoming.
I am listening.
Please. What
about the 2 crores?
Okay, I'm answering if you like to listen with some numbers, which will prove that you were wrong and lying to the people of India. Listen to me now. You spoke about unemployment.
What about the agriculture sector?
Be quiet now. Arnab, please ask him to be quiet. He's a, I think, professional heckler on your show.
Please see the plight of the farmers.
What about, okay, thank you, Mr. Deb. What about the defense ministry, which between 2009 and 2013, when A.K. Antony was the defense minister, saw a litany of defense scams? What about that? Compared to the 19% increase in capital outlay of the defense ministry now. Gaurav is responding to you. 4 minutes on the debate, Gaurav.
Each and every.
So one by one, Mr. Biswajit, please hear me out.
Taken up before the court.
Okay, Arnab, I don't think he'll be quiet, but I'll have to go ahead for the benefit of the viewers.
Was inquired into.
Yes. So first, Mr. Biswajit spoke about unemployment. You know, according to the latest data, West Bengal is witnessing 22.1% unemployment. 22.1% unemployment in West Bengal. Gujarat is 1.8%, Uttar Pradesh is 4.3%. So first get your numbers right. Second, now let's come to defense. Do you know for 10 years Rafale could not be inducted in our Indian Air Force? Please. Arnab, please ask him to be quiet.
That is why
please ask him to be quiet.
Has been voted for the third time.
इनसे कैसे debate करें Arnab? Can we debate with such people?
To power. She has been elected
क्या बोल क्या रही है? इनको खुद नहीं पता.
Talking about unemployment.
Be quiet. Be quiet.
That is why Mamata Banerjee has been elected as a chief minister for the third term.
Arnab, I will request you to ask him to be quiet.
Ajay Pandya on the other side who has not spoken yet. Yes, please. Gaurav and Ajay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I will quickly finish my point so that my colleague Ajay can also make his point. See, first defense. Rafale could not be inducted for 10 years. A.K. Antony, as the ex-defense minister said, paisa kaha hai. Rajnath Singh ji ensured the induction happens. Home Minister Amit Shah ji, Article 370 could not be revoked and abrogated. Amit Shah ji ensured. Speed of construction of roads and highways. Under Nitin Gadkari ji, it is 3 times the speed of what it was in the UPA government. And this is when decisions are being taken. There is no policy paralysis. And we take a lot of pride that in 7 years, not a single scam. And do you know the reason? नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने कहा था ना खाऊंगा ना खाने दूंगा. किसी की हिम्मत नहीं है कि भारत की जनता का 1 रुपया खा जाए.
That, I think, is the biggest achievement.
Okay, last
Every
point
rupee
tonight to
is
Ajay
reaching
Pandey, so he
the
gets his
poor
turn
and the
before the debate
marginalized
ends.
of the country for their welfare.
Ajay Pandey represents that faction of the LJP, the Chirag Paswan faction, which is left out. You must be disappointed because your faction is out, and we are hearing that the leader of the other faction will be brought in the Modi ministry. Mr. Pandey.
No. We are not going to comment on the. We are not going to comment on the hearsay. As far as the Paras Paswan is considered, he may be inducted. That is the prerogative of the Prime Minister. But he can't be inducted as part of the LJP because we have already expelled him. We have suspended him from even the primary membership of the party. What I am here to say today, that Prime Minister has promised Sabka Saath and Sabka Vikas. So while doing this cabinet expansion, he must take into consideration that very slogan for which LJP has stood by him since 2014. You must remember, Arnab, that LJP was the first party to come out openly and Mr. Chirag Paswan to support Prime Minister Modi. And we are waiting for his turn now to reward us, to award us
Mr. Pandey,
for our performance.
Okay, Mr. Pandey, want a reminder once again at the end of this debate, we are expecting the list to come out at 11, the swearing in is at 6, and the full analysis, and probably the ministries, who gets what, which are the new ministries created. We're hearing about a Ministry of Cooperatives and all that is happening. So it's going to be a packed day. We want you to lock in the Republic TV number on your screen tomorrow for all the updates through the entire day. And on the other side, viewers, the Chinese virus has single-handedly wreaked havoc across the entire globe. The Chinese virus is responsible for every variant and every wave. But the Chinese have the gall of now trying to play victim. India will not take it anymore. The world will not stand by. It's time for India to seek an answer and the world to make China answer for the Chinese virus. But do the Chinese think they are getting away? I get a feeling they think they are. Can we stop them? Much more on that in the breaking news story on the other side at 10 p.m. tonight.